Welcome to the Rove Report. I'm your host, British Matt. The world is our show, and we bring you the latest and greatest updates in travel news across the country and across the Atlantic. Each week, we will try and bring you the most relevant topics on restrictions and recommendations so that you can plan better, travel better, and live better. We are all living through unprecedented times right now, and we felt it important to make sure you have a place to come where you can find out positive news on updates and changes that benefit your life. Jamaica has been one of the front runners handling the pandemic with their strategies for reopening tourism, and now they are taking it one step further to try and help ensure your safety and instill total trust when you visit. They are proud to lead the way with the launch of what they believe to be an innovative travel protection and emergency services program called Jamaica Cares. This is a collaboration between the Tourism Board of Jamaica, the Global Tourism Resilience and Crisis Management Center, the Global Travel and Tourism Resilience Council, and Global Rescue. Edmund Bartlett, the Minister of Tourism for Jamaica, believes that destination assurance is becoming a critical precondition of travel today. And as thought leaders, he's happy to report Jamaica is taking a proactive approach in recovering and rebuilding the spirit of travel by restoring the trust and confidence of travelers in their destination. The new program will cover more things than just COVID-19, including but not limited to case management, transport logistics, field rescue, on-island health coverage up to $50,000 to name a few. It even covers international health coverage up to $100,000 for any tourists traveling on their way to and from Jamaica. The program has been designed very specifically and deliberately and will ensure the ability to welcome travelers to Jamaica safely, knowing that in the worst case scenario, they will be treated to the gold standards of care and service. Mandatory payment for the insurance will be in the application process when visiting and is believed to be placed between $40 and $50. Dubai have simplified their COVID-19 requirements for some travelers, allowing them to take a single test on arrival instead of obtaining a private test within several days of boarding their flight. While for many other passengers, testing requirements have become even more stringent, with some expected to take a pre-departure test and a second test on arrival. Since July, Dubai has actually been open to all tourists as long as travelers present a negative COVID-19 test dated within 72 hours of arrival. Initially, officials allowed visitors to skip the pre-departure test and instead only get tested on arrival, although that option was soon removed. Dubai is now set to reintroduce that option for the UK and Germany. For US travelers, you'll still need to buy a pre-departure test, but they have loosened the timing slightly, extending the 72 hours to now be 96 hours. The test must be a PCR test, which typically takes 24 to 48 hours to be processed in a specialist lab. Rapid coronavirus tests are not currently accepted. Travelers from 54 countries, including parts of the United States, must obtain a pre-departure test and then also take a second test on arrival in Dubai if you intend to stay in the Emirate for a length of time. If you're from California, Florida, or Texas, you'll need to take 2 tests. If you're from New York, Chicago, Seattle, Boston, or Washington, D.C., you will only need to obtain the pre-departure test. Mauritius has announced the easing of some of its travel restrictions. The beginning of this month, it announced borders would be open to tourists traveling there for long stays. With that being said, passengers will have to undergo a PCR test within 7 days prior to departure. Upon arrival, a 14-day quarantine will be mandatory at an establishment approved by their authorities. They have provided travel packages online that will include accommodation, a transfer to and from the airport to your hotel, and health costs, including the mandatory PCR tests. To help facilitate the booking process, a centralized booking platform linking the airlines to the hotel sites available is being set up on the MTPA website, which we'll link in the show notes. Air Mauritius and Emirates Airlines are scheduling regular flights connecting Mauritius to designated destinations. Flights may also be booked at the retail outlets, call centers, and the websites of the airlines. The sanitary safety of travelers and of the Mauritian public is topmost priority. Protocols following international best practice will be enforced on board the aircraft, at the aircraft, for airport transfers, at quarantine locations, and thereafter at hotels and other public places. The CEO of Marriott recently talked to the founder of LinkedIn, Reid Hoffman, about the safety of travel and hospitality and what he sees moving into the future. What we are seeing is that collectively, we are showing our resiliency around the world. It's not that we are used to the virus exactly, but we are learning to live with it. When asked about safety and the data they are using to operate effectively, he believed that one of the core challenges is having less contact tracing data than they'd have liked to have had, especially here in the US. He doesn't think hotels are particularly unsafe though, due to being able to set your own risk level while on property. You, the guest, have your own ability to control your own interaction during your stay. If you prefer, you can stay in your room, which has higher professional cleaning and protocols than, let's say, other products on the market. Marriott has 750,000 people wearing the Marriott badge around the world, and it's no surprise that they have had to communicate with staff regarding work availability and their plans moving forward. The CEO believes we are itching to get back on the road, and his hope for hospitality will return, although for their properties, he anticipates it could be 2 to 3 years before we see 2019 levels again. He had some strong words on remote work too, when quizzed on whether that could negatively impact occupancy rates if people are traveling less. He believes that people will still favor in-person interactions and isn't too worried, although he agrees the digital age has been accelerated. And that's all we have for this episode, but remember to check in each week for the latest updates in restrictions and recommendations. Thank you for your earbuds, and make sure to subscribe so you get notified of the next episode, where we bring you updates to help you plan better, travel better, and live better. It's no question that COVID-19 has changed all of our lives, but what's important is that we have an optimistic outlook on the future in travel and tourism and still live our lives every day to the best of our abilities. We have no doubts that COVID-19 has made travel a lot more complicated, but we can assure you that tourism boards all around the world are doing their very best to ensure your safety and security, and also give you a platform to travel once again. As your British host living in North America, operating an informative media company all around the world, be sure to stay healthy and happy, and we'll see you next week.